I'm Michelle Graves, your host on today's segment of The Power of Money. I'm glad to have you here. Now, at The Power of Money, we are interested in three things happening. First, we want you to get the necessary education so that you and your family can make the decisions that will impact positively on you in your financial life. The second thing is that you be empowered to prosper. I only want the best for you. And you can only get that if you have education and then the drive to make it happen. And the third thing that is so important to me is that you recognize that life is more than a journey and that you be energized so that you can begin to participate in the truly joyous experience of living. So here's to empowerment, here's to education, and here's to energy. I'm Michelle Graves, your host, Power of Money, and here we go. And here we go. I am your host, Michelle Graves, and I'm delighted to have you as a part of my viewing audience for The Power of Money. This segment is particularly meaningful to me because I am going to be talking to you for the next hour about America at the Crossroads. I'm going to be talking to you for the next hour about America at the Crossroads, the challenges and opportunities that COVID-19 presents for all of us. And so I thought it would be worthwhile to go through in a systematic way things that you can begin doing and thinking and reflecting about during this historic pandemic. And I don't say it with a smile because it is utterly and completely devastating what is happening to our citizenry in this country. It's devastating. And the fact that so many people are cavalier, I don't know how you can be cavalier about something that is making people sick, and many people sick unto death, and even those that are recovering, they're not sure what the fallback and fallout of that particular sickness is. I've heard all kinds of things that have happened to people who have, quote, recovered. Not really. Many instances that's gone into other parts of their body, including their brain. So this is not a time in our country's history where any of us can afford to be just casual about it. No, it's not going away anytime soon. Period. We are going to have to live with a different way of life. Period. We're going to have to look at ourselves and even our response differently. Period. And how we deal with this on the spiritual level, which I'm going to talk about first, then on your financial level, because this pandemic has caused real pain and suffering for so many of our people financially, and finally mentally, which is how do I keep myself from spinning someplace else? It's that real. So I want you to sit down. I don't know if you've had the opportunity to connect the dots and to begin to see the bigger picture, because I will tell you right now, America as we know it, or I should say, as we've known it, will never be the same. Nope, not at all. And I'm saying this because I do have some benefits, okay? By training and background, most of you know I'm an economist. I look at the numbers, blah, blah, blah. I'm also a scientist, biochemist by trade. I look at facts. I look at data. I'm not moved by emotions. I can't be, because science is a very detailed field, and you don't make assumptions or presumptions without looking at and considering the underlying assumptions. What are you looking at? And trusting the recommendations of people that know that particular problem. All scientists are not specialists in all things. My specialty in science is lipids. Lipids are skin cells. I'm really into oils, and looking at how oils that are plant-based can help humans. But I am not conversant on viruses and that type of thing. But I will tell you, the protocol for all scientists is pretty much identical, which is we look at information, we look at and research data, and we come to conclusions. We depend upon those who are more knowledgeable to assist us and direct us. So again, I say that by background. And I'm also a mother. I have 3 grown children. I'm a grandmother of 3, soon to be 4. And life is interesting. I'm also a minister. Yes, I am. 30 plus years in the faith. And no, I don't wear stickers and tags, because you really do have to be what you say you are. You don't just drop titles and not live a life that honors the very God that you esteem and serve. So I've got a lot of things that I am involved in and do, and interface with a lot of people on all kinds of levels. I am incredibly compassionate about the poor. I do not like children crying and hungry, because they are our future. I feel very strongly that children have to be nurtured and trained and loved unconditionally. And when they're not getting that kind of support, you got a generation that you need to be scared about. For real. I'm not kidding you. Those things that happen in our youth, for those of you that are watching, you already know. You remember all that stuff as a child. You remember. And if you didn't have a good childhood, you remember that too as an adult. So I'm bringing all these things to the table because I need to talk to you very frankly. We are at a crossroads. We're dealing with racial issues. Nobody wants to talk about it. Young people want to talk about it, because the truth of the matter is that young people feel, and they feel correctly so, white young people, black young people, brown young people, Asian, they all are like, we've been tricked and lied to. And you know why? Because we can pull it up on our iPhones and find out whatever we want to find out in a cryptic, specific way. And we feel like we've been tricked. And as I had one young person tell me, man, I can't wait till your generation just dies. Like, what? Wait. No. We need you all gone. Because a lot of stuff that we're dealing with is because you guys were not honest. You were hypocrites. And you know what? I can't argue with their perception. I'm not going to anyway. I tell them we live in a free society, a democratic society, and if the facts don't validate what your experience shows, then one of them's got to go. And my God, it's probably going to be your experience, because the facts are always going to be what they are. For the most part, they can change, but they are what they are. So let's talk about getting through this in America at the crossroads, period. The most important thing right now is, if you've never believed in a higher power and a higher authority and a higher accountability, This is a time that your stuff is shaky. Because I know the question that you ask is, why does God allow this to happen? Like God has a magic wand and says, oh, I prefer you today versus someone in another part of the world. The truth of the matter is, and it's a painful truth, but the things that are happening to us right now, in my opinion, have been created by humans. Period. The pandemic that is so horrible, we pretty much identified possibilities. One, that it was laboratory created, which I believe, and I did in December when I first got rumorings on this stuff, that it was created in a lab because it was too odd. Its characteristics were too odd from talking to other scientists. I also know that before you point your finger at China, which is a Chinese lab in Wuhan, that you must consider that there were two major universities in the United States that received large sums of money to research in the early stages how to do this, and that their research was transmitted to that laboratory in China. They work collaboratively. So, who is to blame? Well, truthfully, if I might be so direct, who the heck cares now? Who the heck cares now? How is that relevant to our current state of affairs? It has been speculated and conjectured that it came from a bat in a market. We now know that's not true. But again, because things are fluid and things change, we can say that you've never seen anything like this before, and that it's probably laboratory created. Not unlike AIDS, okay, another respiratory challenge. That did not come, sorry, didn't come from a monkey, came from a lab. Same thing with Ebola and other horrific things that have landed on Earth. This is particularly vicious, first because the technology that created it is so much more advanced today. And being able to do that is very much a man-made phenomena. But having said that, it's now here. And while the world is frantically scrapping around for a vaccine, which may or may not happen in the next year or two, depending upon information, testing, etc., we're still suffering. And that's the key thing. We're still suffering. So I know the question has got to come to all of us, why would God do this? And as I share with you openly, God didn't have to do this. We did it. And we need to own it, as people have said over the years. You need to know that we have to own it. Humans are a hot mess. And we do things that are not good for us. What we do need, now more than ever, in my opinion, is a comfort level for ourselves individually and our families and our community, that we will trust God, the Creator, the Omnipotent, to get us through, whether here or elsewhere, as in death. Because nobody's ever come back in modern times to tell us what that experience is like. And so we all know that whether it's corona or some other disease or a freak occurrence, that death is real. You're going to die. And maybe it's seeing so many people die and die without control, like you can control the timing on death, that is freaking people out, which is, oh my God, oh my gosh, it could be me. It could be you anyway. Yep, it could be because we don't run it. And maybe that is a good thing, because even on stuff we're running, what a hot mess. I mean, Jesus, something as basic as wearing a mask to protect others from your stuff. It's controversial, and I'm not going to do it, and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, somebody needs to send you to the military. We need to reinstate the draft and let people see what the drill sergeant thinks about that one, about your opinion when it comes to following orders. I'm serious. We got a bunch of people out here today who have never ever experienced hardcore do what I say stuff. It's like, that's not American. I beg to differ. We have a large army, military, Navy, Marines, National Guard. These people have all been trained to follow orders and to protect the Constitution and to do what they're told. And if not, they got to break rocks. So again, they're not pointing the finger to God and saying, that's a horrible situation. They're handling it because they know, they've been taught, they've been trained that you have a responsibility to work together for a common good and a common goal. I would say and suggest to all of us, including myself, tighten up now your conversation about God, and reflect on the tenacity of life itself, that no one knows when their time is up at all. No one knows. When it's up, it's up. When it's over, it's over. You may go from COVID, you could go from complications of diabetes, you could go from a freak accident. There are many ways to leave here, but the reality is that you're leaving. Just like you were born, you're leaving. So that's key. That's key to have a balanced approach, to not have a self-righteous or accusatory approach to any of this. We can find comfort and faith in knowing that we serve a God who not only loves us, but He knows all things. And He is in absolute control of this thing. We need to get and come into control. The second thing I want to talk about is finances. And the reason I talk about finances is because I'm the money lady. That's what I do. Because right now a lot of people are having a hard time. When the country shut down and the industry shut down and the economy came to a screeching halt, and then the stock market collapsed. Remember, I know things have been moving rapid speed, but these things did happen. And we are not recovering smoothly at all. Why? Because when people are at home, they're not spending money. When people are not working, they're not earning money, which they then turn around to spend to pay their obligations, and anything that's left, they either save or they spend. That's the economic paradigm we're in today. That's called capitalism. So if you do not work, if you're not bringing in income, then a number of things are going to happen immediately. The first thing is that how are you going to pay your bills? Starting with your rent, your utilities, your phone, child care, which of course is a non-issue because they shut them down as well. But without the economy churning, people cannot make income, and therefore they will experience hard times. Now, I've said this in the past, and I'll say it again. The Federal Reserve did a study, and they found that the typical American only had $500 in savings. That's it. And you know why? It's not because they're spending all their money. It's because they're not making enough money to pay their bills. So you see people working 2 jobs. But now that everything is shut down, they cannot even do that because the non-essential jobs, and I might add to my friends and peers that are economists, the non-essential jobs are what's been chugging this country along, because China had all the manufacturing jobs, and they did all the pills, and everything was from over there. We were working in bars, restaurants, those kind of things, the regular American. 80% of our country's economy was propelled by non-essential jobs that were shut down. The 20% that's manufacturing and information technology and soft industries, well, they stayed afloat, but not full time. People were furloughed. People were put on part-time. And again, without a savings cushion, which we already know that the government knows this. It's going to be a problem. So what was the response? The response was to send you out these stimulus checks. Why? To stimulate you to spend money. But the statistics now say that most people use the stimulus money to try to stay afloat, to pay their rent, to pay for food. Yeah, you got to eat. And what was left, which was not much, to try to pay their bills. Well, we now know, and I said it on Facebook, and I said it publicly on my radio show. And what was $1,200 supposed to do for you today? We know that the benefactors of that were businesses, big businesses that really didn't need it. But heck, if the government's printing money, why not? But the truth is, and this is a truth, it's also a fact, that under capitalism, consumption drives the economy. People have to spend money to keep stuff going. Then it is the business sector, the ability to manufacture and to borrow money to manufacture more. And then finally the government. Well, since consumption is shut down, business is shut down, now it's the government. C plus I plus G, that's the formula. So now it's the government that's the heavy. And of course the Federal Reserve has already said we're willing to print as much money as we have to keep this thing going. So, consumers, since the stimulus did nothing, trust me, they're going to do more stimulus money. They're going to print more money, and you're going to get another check. You are. For those who are on unemployment, I predict they're going to give you more money for relief, because without this, the whole model implodes. It implodes. People don't have enough money. This is where we are today. I'm going to say to you that by the fall of 2020, the dots will show themselves clearly that what I'm telling you is correct, which is why I'm having this conversation about America at the crossroads, because America is us, we the people. In order to have a more perfect union, we are America, and we are at the crossroads. And therefore, I'm trying to speak with you openly and candidly so that you can begin to reset what you feel has to happen. And when I say reset, this is a time to reset your life. You may have to completely abandon those principles and thoughts that you had about what your life looked like and begin to focus on what you are going to have to do moving ahead, the next step. You're going to have to reset and refocus your thoughts, how you see a thing, how you process a thing. I came from a generation, at my age I can be open, everything had a little box. Everything. How people lived, where they went to high school, how they got married. The whole conversation was very static. Now you've got everybody out here. You've got gays, you've got people that choose different lifestyles. You've got everything out here. And you know what? Young people don't care. And what I've learned is I don't care either. As long as I'm able to take care of my life and live my life, I'm good with you. And how can I help you to be a better person? That's the philosophy. That's the mindset today. Refocus what you think and how you look at a thing. Please do not judge anybody, because it's a waste of time. It doesn't bring any good outcome. You may need that person as this thing begins to unbuckle. You want to be clear about what your internal conversation is about. And when I say that, do not allow yourself the opportunity that will present to you to go back reflectively. That's not positive, and we have to move forward. You say, how do I move forward? Well, the first thing I would say on the financial side in moving forward is that you look at other opportunities for work. Remote is real. Companies are never going back to the old day of you getting dressed up and going into an office building and do a job. I just read that Morgan Stanley, who is huge, had decided out of their 80,000 employees, a majority of them were not going back to buildings. They could work from home. That's significant for a behemoth like Morgan Stanley to say, nah, we're not doing that. They're not the only one. Millions of companies, big boys, are making those decisions that they're not going back into the workplace, or if they do, minimally. So what does that say for you and I? Hey, get it going. Look at opportunities online for other types of employment. Look at opportunities for going back to school and enhancing your skill sets online. Be open to the change that is happening as a result of this pandemic. Be aware that as a result of this pandemic, the majority of Americans now have internet access. Well, that changes the playing field. Click overnight. You can connect with people all over through Zoom. You can meet with people in all kinds of circumstances. And so my encouragement is to reach out and begin to invade other people's lives. Don't be isolated. You don't have to. Your communication style just has to change. You won't be meeting with them face to face. You may be meeting with them in groups and clusters online and talking to them about areas that you share in common. You do not have to be isolated, not during the financial period, and they may be able to help you with employment. Leverage LinkedIn. Awesome, awesome portal for people who are in positions of education, leadership, etc. A lot goes on LinkedIn. That's not the only portal, but it is there. And if you're not conversant, learn how to use it. I'm so serious. It's powerful. You say, I don't need a job. You may not now, but you may soon, as this thing gets deeper, and it's going to get deeper and deeper, okay? Because it's now rolling. It is. You want to as a part of your financial journey, you want to stay positive and you want to read positive things, stay with positive people, stay away from people that have nothing to say that is edifying and encouraging. Stay away. You have the freedom to do that now. Just don't return their calls. Yeah, whatever. You want to be able to embrace an attitude of being grateful, because you know what? Being grateful opens up the portals of your mind to grow and expand. The simple thing of saying thank you and being especially kind to other people. Just if it's a rough situation, just move on. I tell people you don't have to fight over parking space because there are plenty. You don't have to fight in the grocery store because everybody's trying to get food and get out. You can choose your battles and not be engaged in surly conversations with yourself. Okay? The conversation is not how I'm going to survive. The conversation is, God has empowered me with all kinds of gifts and talents and abilities, and I need to turn on the spigot. And I have not done it in the past because I've been lazy, I've been non-motivated, and now here I am. I'm broke, but you can be unbroke. It's just that simple. The same things that were in you then are in you now. You just have to activate it and do it. And how do you do it? You do it by connecting first with yourself and with God and then other people. So literally, it's not that deep. It's just about rethinking and resetting and refocusing. Rethinking, resetting, changes here, and refocusing. What's important to me and my family. Very, very, very critical. So, how do we move on to the third thing, which is mental? Well, one of the easy things is when you're stressed, and this is a stressful period, embrace deep breathing, which is inhale, let it kind of marinate down there in your tummy, in your gut, and then exhale. But deep breathing calms you down and connects you to go forward. So rather than short breaths, slow down, pull back, and breathe deeply. Seriously, I do it all the time. It's helpful if you are feeling anxious and nervous because most things you cannot change. You cannot change outcomes. You can do very little, even with yourself. That's just life. But that can help on the physical side. Again, staying positive, deep breathing, and meditating daily. Okay, what does that mean? Focusing your mind on something special. Not yourself, but just meditating on something that is delightful, joyous. Seeing yourself as a special person you are, uniquely made and formed, and just letting your thoughts settle on goodness. Yeah, why not meditate on that? How good it is to be in America. That's a good meditation. How good it is to have a God that loves you. How good it is that you have family, even if they're not the best. Some people don't have anybody. I think about all those people in New York City that died. I mean, and nobody claimed the bodies, nobody called, nobody did anything. They just died. And gee, Moniz, that's hard. Nobody knew you were in a refrigeration unit. Nobody cared. Meditate on goodness. Meditate on gratefulness. Meditate on just how wonderful you are to be where you are. And for those who can't bring it to do that, bring themselves to meditate on that positive. And believe me, you're going to want to. Some people can call it prayer. It's fine. I pray all day long. I do, because I need it. And people say, well, why do you do? I need it. I need it. Okay? I'm a human. I need it right now to keep me in a place of peace and calm. Because when I look at people spinning around, zoom, 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 when I see that kind of stuff going on, it makes me really, really nervous. So I stay in a constant place of prayer, gratefulness, and thanksgiving that for the first time in my life, not only am I not in control, woo-woo, and neither are you, but I have the freedom to change and become the person that I really am on the inside. I have the freedom to explore options, to look at where I am and where I'm going, and to begin to lay a foundation for where I want to be. Important. Final note. Be careful of self-medications and drinking more. Okay? This is not original from me. It came from Dr. David Burns, who I interviewed, and he's such an awesome man, but he said this and it triggered me, because when you do these things, you may be trying to fight off depression, but that's not the way to do it. Alcohol, drugs, marijuana, whatever your choice, when you come down from where you go, the situation is still here. So I would suggest that now is the time to consider the power of helping one another, helping your neighbors, respecting masking and social distancing, but learning the power of a beautiful, genuine smile and a statement that, how are you today? You stay safe. That may sound small, but it can be major for people going through a lot. I'm on the phone a lot. I talk to a lot of people, but I'm always cheerful by choice. I'm always happy in my tone by choice, because I don't want to be the rain cloud over somebody else today. I don't know what else is going on, and I don't want that happening. So as a final, you want to watch those self-medications and be careful about the issue of depression. I know a lot of people are dealing with depression. I know that. I'm a human, remember? I don't have to have a PhD in psychology to know that humans don't do well with death, grieving, and financial problems. That's too much. We need to know that we're loved, that we're attended to, and that we're cared for, whether it's psychologically or whether we're cared for by actual behavior and example. But we need to know as humans that we are loved. And during this America's Great Challenge, love is in scarce supply. Yes, it is. Love is parked someplace down the street. But I'm here to say, let's bring it on back. Let's love. We can't necessarily touch, but we can still tell people, I love you. and I'm concerned about you and your family. We can take the focus off of ourselves and our struggles and begin to listen to other people as they articulate. If you listen and if you ask with intentionality, which is, I really do want to know how you're doing. That's asking with intentionality. It's not asking because, oh, well, I'm asked. It's asking because you really do love and care. America's greatest challenge during these months and years ahead is, can we reinvent this country? Can we become something that is so amazing that the world takes a hard look and says, man, those people are amazing. Can we lay to rest once and for all the issues of racism, sexism, transgenderism, gayism, all the isms that have split us apart? Can we lay that to rest? Can we? Can we recognize that people did terrible things to other people? And the greater issue is, how are you going to handle it when you see God face to face and he plays a tape of your history? How are you going to deal with that? Well, you can deal with it by, again, making a decision today, right now, that I'm not doing that. I'm resetting, I'm refocusing, I'm rethinking, and I am determined to come out of this a better person. I am determined to come out of this with my family better situated. We will begin to face those challenges, exercise a level of discipline, and literally reinvent ourselves. We have the possibility every day of doing that. Each day stands on its own merits. But what happens is you become a tar baby. You get stuck, as one of my friends said. You're a tar baby. You get stuck. You get stuck with the thinking and the behavior and the actions that say you're from another time. And today, thanks to the leveling field of internet, information, and technology, old people and young people have the same access to the same information. So you can't elevate yourself above anybody, because everybody, rich, poor, male, female, black, white, brown, everybody globally, see the little thing behind me? Globally, everybody has access to the same information. But how they use that information to make positive changes for people is going to be a real challenge. I hope my young people are not right in their assessment that we just got to wait for you all to just die. Like, because you can't change and we're sick of it. We want to look at what everybody brings to the table. And as I share with young people, I'm not young and I'm not mad about it, but thank God I'm old enough to have a whole lot of wisdom and experience that tells me, if you plan on moving ahead with this agenda, you're going to need me a lot sooner than you thought. Because I bring to the table a scope of perspective, a scope of understanding that comes from life. Because life is a brutal teacher, but it is a teacher. And if you're wise, you'll listen up and learn a few things. Yes, you will. So, I want to leave those things with you as we say that America, biggest challenge of our history. I believe in our country. I believe in our people. I don't have an issue with diversity of opinion. I don't have an issue with any of those things that cause angst to other people. What I do say is that we would all be extremely wise to back it up, slow it down, and think differently. Make ourselves look at and consider things differently. Okay? Differently. And know that there is so much that we really don't know about ourselves and about other people. That's why you have to be really careful, because you don't know what other people have gone through. You're only filtering based on your experience and your limited knowledge and understanding. And that puts you kind of at a disadvantage today, because everybody has their own unique experience. And only God knows the very frame of a human being. Only God. That's it. You know a little bit, but you don't know it all. And the little bit you do know, and I know as well, the little bit I know, has gotten me so far. But the challenge is, can it get you to the next level for what we're facing today? For whatever is happening with COVID virus, and it is awful, and it is going to only get worse, and people are going to continue to increase in suffering. Just remember that Michelle Graves, the money lady, told you, reset, refocus, and rethink your life. The opportunity is flagging you desperately in front of you. Rethink it, embrace it, and I look forward to hearing from you about what your new journey, your new life, your new opportunity looks like, and I'm excited about that. So I thank you for allowing me to have a venue in your life. I hope the information has not bored you. I presented it to challenge you because nobody else is saying it. Nobody else is calling it like it is. And I'm telling you, it's a hot mess. But out of all this chaos and confusion is tremendous hope and opportunity. Don't forget that in the days ahead when things look very, very bleak. Yeah, you may be called on to give habitation to a family that's homeless. You may be. Your churches may be challenged to use those pews other than Sunday gatherings. I'm telling you, you may be called upon in the winter months to help people in a real, meaningful way. It's right before us. I'm looking at it right now. God, help us all. And God bless America. Thank you so much for being a part of my world. And I thank you for being a willing listener. You take care. God bless you all. Bye-bye.